All right, I'm back. Round 2 for Fridays. Okay, couple things. I'm gonna talk about a couple things, and then I'm gonna have you do something, and then you'll be done with this, and you're gonna work with a partner for something in the last half of class. Sound good? Just as a reminder, anytime you have any questions, email me, remind101me, or what was that new message me on the new website. Okay? So just as a reminder, summaries are due Monday, and that does include the definitions in the back. Okay, so all that is due Monday. Hopefully you have not waited until this weekend to start it. Not calling anybody out this time. And the Unit 1 and 2 test is on Wednesday. 1 and 2. So please make sure you're finished reading the chapter, the units, this weekend, and then we'll review a little bit on Monday, and then the test is on Wednesday. Sound good? Cool. Okay, first thing I want to do is just wanted to quickly go over, see if you have any questions about what Miss Rich talked about yesterday, and then we'll move on to our last kind of thing. Okay? Okay, so mean, median, mode. This is one of those things where I think everybody knows it, but then people missed some questions on it last year. So mean is your average. Here, let me put this up. Median is the middle, right? The middle, and then mode is the most. If that is something you don't understand, please, that's something to ask. All right? And the one I would add on here too is range. Range is how far apart do these scores range from your top to your bottom score. So you would basically subtract the top from the bottom. The back, whatever. Okay? Okay. All right, so standard deviation. So like Miss Rich said, it's something you want to know, how far do you deviate from everybody else, from the average. How far deviate means how far do you stray away from, right? So from the average, from most people, how far do you deviate, okay? So, yeah, a computed measure of how much scores vary around the mean. All right, now a couple of things I want you to see on here. This is actually the IQ, the normal curve for IQ. So most people, the average IQ score here, let's see if I can find a pin. Okay, see if this works. All right, the average IQ score here is 100. Look at that circle. Sorry, I'm trying to think about. Okay, do you remember what she said? Here is one standard deviation above and one standard deviation below. Okay, so for IQ, do you remember what percentage of people fall in this one standard deviation above and one below? It should be 68%. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, 68%. So most people, probably everybody in this classroom, falls within 85 to 115. But then, if you move on up to 2 standard deviations, then you get your super smart people up here. And then even farther, this is the super high intelligence. So this would be where Mrs. Marchman would be. This is too complicated to write on here. Okay, it's harder than it looks, people. But so that is even like 3 standard deviations away. All right, and then if you go down here, and we'll talk more about this with intelligence, within 2 standard deviations, all right, so this is where low intelligence, and then 3 standard deviations, this is where mental retardation is, and we'll talk more about that later, okay, which is only 2%, right? So that's something you need to know. What percent does everybody fall in between here? Okay, that is, so what percent of people fall in between 2 standard deviations above or 2 below, and that is 96%. Okay? So that's kind of what you need to know. So if I asked you a question on a normal curve, you know, what amount of people fall within 1 standard deviation, it would be 68%. Sound good? Okay, now I need to stop this. This is what I struggled with last time. Alright, go away. Ah, there we go. Killed it. Okay. Alright, now this is the more confusing one. Statistical significance. So, and I meant to say this the other day, why do we care about all this stupid statistics in psychology, right? It's not what I signed up for, is math. In order, though, to make claims about people, about how many people have depression, how many people do this, whatever, you have to take up data. You have to do one of those studies that we talked about. So you have to take data. In order to do data correctly, you have to make sure that it's significant before you can say, hey, look, I want you to see this pill actually helps with happiness, right? It's been statistically proven. This pill helps. And so now you can kind of show that to the world. So that's why statistics are here in psychology. Okay? Okay. So when is something statistically significant? And if it's significant enough, then you can say, yes, this study is great. Let's share it with the world. Okay? All right, so here's an example. We have found that blondes score lower on tests than brunettes. All right, I'm playing into that stereotype there. Okay? So let's say a study comes out and says that. Well, how do we know that's accurate, right? How do we know that that is actually a significant thing that we should pay attention to, that we should believe it? There's a lot of fake news out there. You don't want to not believe it or believe stuff that's wrong. Okay, so here is your official definition of statistical significance, and then I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, it's a statistical statement of how likely it is that an obtained result occurred by chance. So, that comment up there about blondes scoring lower. When they did their study, how likely is it that they found that out and that's due to chance? If it's not due to luck and due to chance, then what does it due to? Here, it's due to their hair color, supposedly. Or you could say, the result is due to that pill. That's why we know it's actually having an effect. Okay? Now, what percentage would you accept? You say, okay, I'll accept that data, there's only a blank % chance. Would you trust a 50% chance? No, that's a coin flip. That means they just made that up, right? So what psychologists use, okay? They like to say that they are 95% confident, right? 98 is even better, but that's even harder to find, okay? So they're going to give you this little thing. It says it's a P level, and that's basically a statistic wording, okay? P level is 0.05. It has a statistical significance of a P level of 0.05. And that means, okay, the odds of the results occurring by chance or by luck or by, random are less than 5%. And if they can say that, then they'll be like, okay, I got it. I will accept that result there. The odds are less than 5%. Now, I do want to show you something. I'm going to kind of go back up here. Here's my drawing again. Okay, let's say you have your experimental group and your control group. Here. Okay. And my experiment here is going to be my pill and how it affects happiness. Okay, so people in the experimental group, they get the pill. And people over here get a placebo. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Whatever. Okay, and at the end, they both take a happiness test. Whatever that is. Okay. Happiness. Alright, so that's my dependent variable, right? This is my independent variable. Okay. Something is significant if this group who gets the pill differs enough from this group. Right? We want the experimental group on their happiness test to be a whole lot happier than this group. There is a significant statistical difference that makes this experiment significant. Okay? I don't want it to happen by chance. I don't want it by luck. I want to know that it was the pill. Don't want it to be to chance. And I will accept this result, the psychology world will accept it, if there is a 5% chance, 5% ability for it to be by chance. I'll accept that. That's pretty good. Okay? All right. Let me know if you have any questions later. Okay, so that's what Ms. Rich talked about. Let me get out of this. Okay, so that's what Ms. Rich talked about, those 4 things. That is in Module 7. Hopefully you read it, and let me know if you have any questions on Monday. All right? All right, we're moving into the last kind of section. Where did I go all this? All right, here we go. Ethics. Okay, ethics and psychology. So in order to get a lot of these things, they have to try out pills on things. They have to try experiments on people. So I want you to do right now is you have this worksheet. Okay, this is just an opinion thing. Okay, so I want you to pause me in a second, and I want you to fill out these questions and talk about them with the partner. Argue. That means Will and Allie and me are going to argue very loudly. But kind of talk about those, go through that, and then when you're done, okay, I want you to unpause me, and I'm going to tell you kind of the 5 official rules for ethics. Okay? Sound good? All right, pause me, and then answer those questions. Okay, you've unpaused me, I think. All right, so kind of a couple different areas of ethics here. Some of you argue that it is okay to do experiments on animals, and some of you are animal lovers and say, no, that's ridiculous. I don't care what the cause is, even if it saves hundreds of people's lives, that kind of thing. Okay, that's kind of a personal opinion. All right, so I want to tell you about this experiment that I was in college. So if you take an intro-level psychology class in college, you probably will be required to do some kind of experiments for your class. Okay? But you guys are all going to pass the AP test, and then you're not going to have to take intro psych, and you can jump into the cooler classes if you want to take more psychology. Okay. All right, so what they did is I showed up. They told me a time to show up, and they made me draw there were 2 slips of paper, I remember, and I drew one, and it said, I don't remember what it said. Okay, and then there's another person next to me, and both of us went into separate rooms, and then they explained the study, and they told me that I was sitting in a really small room, and there was a video camera, I could see it in the corner, and it said, I want you to introduce yourself like you're talking to the other person, and you're going to tell them about yourself. Maybe they had some guiding questions. I don't remember. And then they said at the end, they're going to rate your personality. I remember thinking, okay. So I did it. I was just talking to a camera. A little bit weird. And then somebody came in and gave me my personality assessment from that other person who was watching me in the video camera. And it was like fine. I mean, they gave me, I don't remember exactly, but there's one category that was talking about like friendliness or something, and it rated me really low. And I was like, what? I was so friendly. I don't know what you're talking about. This is cracking jokes, blah, blah, blah. And then they had me say, okay, now that you've seen your questionnaire or your assessment, I want you to continue on, and I guess they were analyzing how my behavior changed. Okay? And so, and then after the fact, turns out there was nobody watching me behind that camera, and that assessment they had given to me, that wasn't even about me. I think they gave the same one to everybody. I'm sure they had experimental and control groups. But they wanted to see how people change their personalities, I guess, or I don't know, based on receiving assessment about it. I don't remember. But I do remember being lied to. Rude. Okay, so I want to talk about, if you flip on the back, there are 5 basically ethics that the American Psychological Association urges, and that you can't get an experiment passed if you don't already abide by these, and then afterwards your experiment could be closed down if you didn't follow these, or you could lose your membership, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there's 5 big things. Okay, so I want you to write them down. Number 1, you have to, if you're going to do an experiment, you have to obtain informed consent. What that means, consent means that if I'm a participant, I have to agree to participate. I have to agree, and when it says informed, it means I have to know what's going on. Alright, so I have to agree, and usually they literally have you sign something. Okay, so I have to agree to an experiment. I can't be in some weird experiment if I don't know I'm being experimented on. Okay, number 2, protect them from harm and discomfort. That sounds nice, right? Hopefully that would happen. We're going to learn more about this one later. But this is obviously physical harm. Okay, let's see. We can't study how do people react to being punched in the face. Okay, can't do that. But later, there's a famous experiment that is going to kind of add even psychological harm you have to be protected from. And that's a little bit harder to estimate ahead of time. Okay, next one. Basically, you have to keep things private, confidential. You can't release things about that participants to the world. Now, you can release your results, but anytime you're going to use a participant, you can't use their name. Either has to be an abbreviation of their name or a pseudonym or something like that. So, privacy. Okay? And then afterwards, you're going to see this word, fully explain the research to the participant afterwards. Here's another word that goes with that, debrief. You have to debrief them afterwards. Okay? Which means, what's not on here? You can lie to them. You can lie to them if it doesn't break any of those other rules. And afterwards, you tell them what really happened. You explain it. So you can lie to them and then you tell them afterwards, and I thought I felt like a fool. But some of you think that's unethical, but a lot of times if I knew that this was not a real assessment about my personality, I probably would have acted differently, right? So oftentimes it's hard to get true reactions and behaviors if you don't lie. But you have to debrief them afterwards. Debrief. Okay? And then one that's not officially on the list, but unofficially, a participant can always quit. It's a voluntary thing, and they can always quit during the experiment. Okay? It has to be voluntary. You can't force somebody to do an experiment. Okay? Makes sense, right? Hopefully. All right. So there you go. There's your ethics. Okay? Awesome. Okay, the last thing we're going to do today is the other worksheet. Let's see if I can pull that up. Nope. Hold on. Wait for it. Where is it? Always. Come on. It's maybe that. It's not that. I don't know. Ah, here it is. Okay. This other thing, okay? So remember, on your AP test, you're going to get 100 multiple choice questions. 100 multiple choice. And in 70 minutes, which means you get less than a minute to do each question. Fun fact. And then you get 2 short answers. Okay, so here's number 1 that we're going to look at in a second, and then number 2. What you notice about both of them is they have bullet points. Okay, so each bullet point should be its own mini paragraph. Okay, so what I want you to do, you can work with a partner, you can work by yourself, but you both have to have your own piece of paper. Okay, I want you to turn this in. Have your own piece of paper and write it out. So each one of these bullet points should be its own little mini paragraph. Okay, I want you to read the, the scenario, and then see if there's a mini paragraph, there's a mini paragraph. See if you can do each one. Okay, and then we will go over it on Monday. If you have extra time, work on your summary afterwards, but we'll go over this. All right, hope you have a good weekend. Don't miss me too much. Okay, bye. Where's the stop? Stop. Bye.